Hello everyone, welcome to this video which will be going through an introduction to Foundations of Business Communication, which is BBS 003-1. We're going to be looking at some of the core aims of the unit, as well as going through some of the support available from both the unit shell as well as the university more broadly. So if we start just by looking at the basic question of what are we actually going to cover in this unit, well, we can really break that down into four distinct areas. So we'll be looking at developing skills, preparing for management, looking at business within a particular context, as well as the broader business environment. So if we start with developing your skills as a successful student, this is going to be one of the core focuses throughout the unit, and we are going to start from the very first week. So now that everyone is on their first semester of the first year of their degrees, there'll be people on different degrees, but everyone should be in their first semester. We want to start developing the skills that you'll need to kind of move through all of the year smoothly and develop your own academic and study skills. For this unit, there's three particular streams that we want everyone to focus on. The first being taking in new information, then actively doing something with that information, and then lastly, reflection on the learning process itself. So in terms of the information that we want everyone to take in, this is going to be available in a variety of different ways. So we have lecture videos every week, of which this is the first, as well as broader reading material, articles. You also have textbooks and journals as well available to you. So it's almost impossible for you to go through your university careers without developing information retrieval skills, without developing the skill of watching videos and reading material and gaining useful information from them. So you'll find information on the Brioche about active reading, about how to take lecture notes, about how to best absorb information, whichever way you're consuming that information. So whether you prefer to listen or watch, or whether you prefer to read, we still need to develop those skills of gaining the most from the material that you're covering. But it isn't just about absorbing information, it's also about developing skills and developing professional behaviors, and this is where the activities and exercises really come in. Assessments is in the same category, although it doesn't often feel like it. Assessments are just activities and exercises which are being graded, whereas other activities and exercises are formative. You do them to develop your skills, and then during the assessed ones, we're actually assigning you a mark. But the basic principle is just the same. You're taking the information that you've absorbed through lecture videos and the lecture slides and textbook reading and so on, and you're doing something with it. So for example, you may have read about SWOT analysis, which you will do in the next session, a way of analyzing an organization's environment. And then you're asked to actually do a SWOT analysis for a particular case study. So you're simply taking something that you've absorbed, that you've watched through videos or read through a textbook, and then you're applying it. You're actively doing something with that information. What we don't want to do is to leave any kind of active learning just for assessments. So we want there to be active learning happening throughout the entire unit. So what we can't do is simply watch the videos and read the textbook and then do nothing else until it's time to write an assessment. There will be a wide range of activities and exercises to do, both individually and during the seminars as part of a group, in order to really embed that active learning throughout the unit itself. And then lastly, the third major stream of developing your skills as a student and an academic is reflection. So what we have to encourage reflection, so we're not just going through reading and doing activities, but we're actually considering what we've learned, considering the challenges we've faced, considering and reflecting to try and find some insight in our learning process. What type of studying works better, what type of studying we've really struggled with, which areas we need to develop more, which skills we have really been brought to the fore, and which skills need a lot more work on them. Reflection is where we really solidify learning, is where we really kind of take what we've learned and improve on it. So we are going to encourage this through the use of weekly learning journals or weekly reflective journals. You'll find the template for this on the Brio Shell, and we do ask that every week you fill it in. You spend a bit of time, whether it's 15 minutes, half an hour, or however long, actually reflecting on the work you've done that particular week. Fill it in nice and honestly, and submit it every week as well. So if we now move on to the next of our 4 major aims for Foundations of Business Communication, and this would be preparing you for management. So this is after you graduate. Most students will want to look for a career in business with some degree of management responsibilities, and that comes with a range of required knowledge, skills, and behavior. So in terms of the particular areas we're going to focus on in this unit, team working and people management will very much be part of that. So there will be opportunities to both develop knowledge of this area. So we're going to look at some team working theories such as Belbin, Tuckman and others. But as well as this, there'll also be an attempt to develop your skills. So you'll actually be working in teams at various points during the unit. You'll have to develop your skills in people management. Students often complain that their teams are not to their liking, that people work in different ways, that some people don't communicate very well, some people don't do much work, or some people just don't turn up. And that's of course true. This is an undoubted reality, but that's also true in the workplace to a large degree as well. There'll be different personalities, different ways of working, different degrees of laziness, let's say, or enthusiasm for particular work. So finding ways to actually deal with these situations is an important professional skill. So as well as the theories and the models about team working, we also are going to focus on developing those skills as well. As well as this, the next 2 that we want to make sure we give sufficient attention to are problem solving and self-management. So we want to encourage an attitude of self-sufficiency, an attitude of creative problem solving, and we're going to do this through 2 major avenues. One is by giving problems to you to solve in terms of business scenarios or activities, and we want to see creative attempts at problem solving. We don't want to see a response of, well, this case, there's nothing that can be done and it's a lost cause. This should be an attempt to find some kind of solution, even if it requires radical recommendations or a very radical approach. We do want to embed problem solving into the knowledge that we're cultivating during the unit. But as well as this, there's also the issue of self-management, of recognition that one of the key skills when it comes to management activities in the business world and commercial activities is the ability to manage your own time, whether it's emotional self-management, whether it's task self-management. These are really important behaviors and skills to cultivate. So we have activities based around task management, developing to-do lists, activities based upon reflection and understanding different ways of communication and how we can learn to manage our emotions within particular business contexts as well. So there is going to be a focus on this area also. critical thinking is going to be a really important part, not just of this unit, but really any unit on your course and as part of your university experience as a whole. What you really don't want to do is to approach university thinking that there is such thing as a body of knowledge which has all the answers, and your job as a student is just to memorize those answers or to learn a particular theory or to memorize a textbook. That really isn't the goal of university education for a start, but also really not appropriate for any kind of business degree. We have to recognize that business degrees are in essence about people. Businesses comprise of people. They're individual people purchasing goods and services, and there's individual people producing goods and services. There's individual people managing other teams. So people are complex, contradictory, and there is no one model which gives perfect answers for any given business scenario. We have a mass of different models, mass of different theories, a mass of different perspectives and approaches. Some of these are overlapping and complementary, others are contradictory and very much opposed to each other. So your job as a student and as an academic isn't just to learn theories, but actually to develop your critical thinking skills so you can evaluate and decide which are useful to you and which are not useful to you. So that's really, really important that's the approach that you go into academia with. Recognition that this is a messy, contradictory field. There's lots and lots of different models and theories, and is not enough to just learn what those theories and models are. We absolutely need to have the critical thinking skills to allow us to evaluate and decide on which theories, which models, and which approaches are useful to our professional practice. So that's something which is going to be embedded in every part of every unit, really. Any theory and model that you learn, there will be critiques, there will be criticisms, there will be weaknesses and drawbacks, and those are just as important as actually learning the theory or the model itself. And lastly, we have communication. So this is obviously a thread that runs through the entire unit, but I do want to break it down into two distinct parts as well. So we have communication as an area of knowledge. You can learn about communication styles, you can learn about the importance and the context of communication within different business activities, and that is something which we're going to do. But as well as this, communication is also a skill, it's a behavior. So we want everyone to actually strive to embody best practice communication in their own communicative styles, whether that's discussing in online sessions or physical sessions with the lecturer, whether it's interacting and making plans and working in groups, whether it's emailing. We want a clear professional standard of communication throughout as a skill, not just learning about communication styles or communication types. And that starts with the very first week, the very first session. One of your tasks in your activities in the session plan is actually sending a professional email. So learning about the best practice when it comes to email communication, and then developing that skill and putting it into practice. The third area of this unit, or the third focus for this unit, is understanding business management context. So here we really want to emphasize that there is no quick and simple answers when it comes to understanding management as an activity. That business management depends on a huge range of factors and circumstances. So we need to delve into and understand the context of our activities to really understand which types of theories and models and concepts are useful or best suited to whatever activity we're doing at that moment. So we are going to really delve into some of the context surrounding business management and try and understand business management as a field. So it's the first unit. This is your first semester, so we are going to be looking at broad general approaches, but it is important to recognize that right from the start that this is a very contextual field of study, and you have to invest that time in understanding the context in order for the individual models and concepts that you learn to be of real value. And the fourth area of focus is the business environment itself. So here we want to understand the broader environment that businesses and by extension management activities take place in. So we are going to dedicate quite a lot of time in this unit to understanding the internal environment within a business, the external micro environment, and the external macro environment. So we're going to look at how businesses operate within broader society, how they operate within a particular marketplace, as well as the internal environment within a business and which factors are important to a business's success or failure. So we're going to place management within this business environment context as well. So we've looked at these four major themes or areas that are going to be covered within the unit. So we are going to move on and just take a look at some of the broader elements of your course as well. So if you're studying BBS 003-1 Foundations of Business Communication, this means that you are part of a wider business management community at the University of Bedfordshire. So there will be four major courses that your colleagues are a part of. So everyone on this unit will either be studying business management as a BSc, business management with law, business management with a placement year, or FDA business management. So there will be a variety of different courses involved, and there may be some others joined on as well, such as business management with HR. In terms of your physical study, there is a large community here as well. So within the United Kingdom, we have cohorts and students studying at Bedford, Luton, Milton Keynes, London and Birmingham. And globally, we currently are also teaching in Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Nepal. As well as this, we often have students, from a huge range of backgrounds, whether it's from different parts of the UK, different parts of Europe, or different parts of the world. So it's important to recognize the diversity both within your individual cohorts, the diversity in terms of the different courses that you're all on, although everyone is part of a business management course of some kind, and the diversity in your in the different cohorts that are studying at the same time. The final part of this video will just be going through learning resources available to you at the university, and there is a lot. So oftentimes we have students who worry about various skills or knowledge gaps that they have, but they don't always realize that there is a lot of resources available, not just on the BrioShell, which is obviously specific to the unit, but also at the university generally. So in terms of what is available in terms of unit specific material, well, we have a lot. So what you'll find on the BrioShell for FBC or 003-1 Foundations of Business Communication is material organized into weekly learning blocks or weekly session blocks, depending on what delivery of the unit you're doing, and you will find recorded online videos. You'll find particular reading, whether it's article reading or it's academic journal reading that we've selected for you, as well as lecture slides. And it is worth pointing out that the lecture slides are not just the same as the online videos. They may cover similar material or similar topics, but the online videos are formatted for videos. They aren't just the exact same slides that we would use to deliver in class. So you will find the lecture slides do differ, and it's always useful to go through the lecture slides because if you're reading the slides in that particular format, it may be a preference in terms of your own learning style, or you may prefer to rely solely on the online videos. But that will all be organized into thematic blocks, into, as I said, either weekly or session folders on the Brio shell there. But we also have wider reading as well for you guys to engage in, not just the tightly directed reading that you'll find within your weekly or session folders. So we have the core textbook available. We have a few core textbooks for this unit. You can access them through Brio, which is probably the easiest way if you click on books and tools and then you go to the reading list link that appears. And that will take you directly to the core textbooks, or you can access them through the library catalog, where you'll find all of the other academic textbooks in the university. So obviously, if you're physically present at a university campus with a library, you can, depending on if the library is open during these troubled, difficult times with the pandemic, you'll be able to find physical copies, but most of our textbooks are also available as online ebooks. Certainly all of the core textbooks will be available as ebooks, but there'll also be a wide selection of other academic textbooks which you can view online through the library catalogue. So you can go into lrweb.beds.ac.uk to access the library catalogue, and then you can do a search for topic, author, or keyword to find relevant textbooks. That's the academic textbooks, but journal articles are different. So you would also go to lrweb.beds.ac.uk, but click on the Discover link, and then you actually can search through all of our journal articles and journals that the university subscribes to. There is a huge range of journal articles going back many, many decades. And you'll find lots and lots of information here. So while textbooks are brilliant for understanding academic theory, concepts and models, if you really want to dig into research, so real world research about particular case studies or particular industries, then you really should dig around with Discover and find information through Discover as well. So if you want to understand a theory or a model, we'd advise the textbooks. If you want to find evidence or support for particular arguments, or you just want to understand some other aspects of the model, how well supported it is by research, absolutely go to Discover and look through our journal article database. As well as information, we also have lots of other resources available as well. And a really good repository for this is StudyHub. You can also access StudyHub through lrweb.beds.ac.uk. LR just stands for Learning Resources Web.beds.ac.uk, and you'll find tons and tons of stuff on here. This is the one resource that I think students who sometimes struggle don't realize just how comprehensive it is, just how wide-ranging the information available on here actually is. So you have referencing guides, step-by-step referencing guides, as well as guides to using referencing software that the university provides. You'll find academic guides from everything to writing in an academic manner, constructing arguments, formatting business reports and essays, as well as supporting guides on things like using IT, skills for Microsoft Office, including Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, as well as research guides on how to find information, how to effectively search and discover, how to browse a library catalogue. So there'll be lots and lots of information on all these topics available as well. I would thoroughly recommend actually finding the time to go through and explore LR Web as well as StudyHub in particular, just so you have a clear idea of the range of information available. So if you find yourself needing to develop a skill, or you find yourself not quite sure how to do something, you already know the kind of information that is available on Study Hub.